Hello, guys. It's Daniel here again for your weekly review, and today we are looking at Foster the People's third album, Sacred Hearts Club. Foster the People are an indie pop band from America. They are most known for their 2011 single, Pumped Up Kicks, which was a worldwide success, and from the general eye, they kind of faded into obscurity from there on. But I have enjoyed all their music, Supermodel, Torches, and this album. We'll get more to that right now. So let's start off with a bit of backstory. So a little while ago, I think, late last year, one of the members of the band quit, and he was like a main part of it. So they got two of their touring members and replaced him and added another member. And they've also worked on the previous two albums, and these two people have been a part of Foster the People for quite some time, but they really are showcased on this album, even on the front cover. It's the first album of theirs where the band members are on the front cover. But adding new members, it could mean good or bad for a band, and in this case, I'm just gonna adjust this. Okay. In this case, it meant, well, I don't know. It's all up to opinions, but let's get to the review. The opening track of the album, Pay the Man, and this is a very funky track. It has a lot of weird noises, and some of which are present on Torches, and it contains almost rapping, which is like not quite rapping, but also not quite singing. It's kind of like spoken word, but faster. And I really like the lyrics of this one. Some of the lines are really like, "Whoa, dude." But the track certainly had to grow on me. When it was released on the 3 EP a little while ago, I was a bit skeptical. I was like, but I don't know. It's just some harmless, funky indie electro pop rap. But it is also a great album opener, and it leads us to another track which was released previously on the 3 EP, Doing It for the Money. And this name represents kind of how I feel about this track. The chorus is pretty good, but the verses are just slow and boring, and there's generic drum sounds, and it's psychedelic. It's a decent track, but it's all generic, and it leads us. I'm flowing through the tracks here because I don't have much to say. A lot of these tracks are very generic, like last week's review about Kid A, where I got into a lot of detail because, well, Kid A is a very important album. Now we move on to the next track, which the first one wasn't released previously. I don't know or care. Anyways, Sit Next to Me is the third track in this album. It contains more rapping, but it's still a bit generic, and it does bring back some 60s vibes, but also vibes of spring break, like top hit of the summer. And Mike Foster, who's the lead singer of the band, his vocal style does not fit the song very well, and it gets very boring halfway through, and it's quite repetitive and boring. But it leads us on to the second best track on the album, SHC, and it's finally something unique. And it's a very fast-paced guitar-driven number, reminiscent of the tweeness of Torches, and it's really funky. And although it's very good, there's a part in like the mid-end that has the cheesiest auto-tune vocals, and it's just cheesy, that little part. It get back to the guitar part pretty quickly, which is good because that's the good part of the song. And it leads us on to a very weird song by Foster the People standards, I Love My Friends. It's quite minimal, it's very easy on the ears, and it's groovy with a memorable riff. It has some kind of dark lyrics like Pumped Up Kicks had, and there's a weird bit in the middle end. There's a lot of stuff in the middle end of Foster the People tracks that has like laughter and cowbells. I don't know. The whole track is good itself, but it's a wee bit repetitive. Which leads us on to the first intermission, Orange Dream. It's this noisy, ambient, psychedelic intermission, which is reminiscent of some of the chill wave or synth wave that's been going on recently. And that goes into Static Space Lovers. And it's another upbeat track with a lovely swing and drum beat and a happy guitar riff. And it's more similar to what was found on Supermodel, and it has female vocals of Jenna Malone, who's an actor, and also part of The Shoe, which is a band. And there's not much to say about this track. It's just some happy indie pop. There's nothing. It's not like it's offensive. It's nice, and it leads us on to best track on the album in my opinion, Lotus Eater. It's quite a unique track. It's a punk rock number with one fatal flaw that I'll get to a bit later, but it has strong vocals, powerful lyrics, and a pretty heavy riff for an album that has I Love My Friends on it. It's very catchy, and it reminds me of some of the Arctic Monkeys' output. But now onto the flaw. This track is far too produced. It has the distorted vocal sound to make it seem lo-fi, but the guitars are just too soft and quiet. The drums are electronic drums, and it's too produced for a punk number. They need to take some cues from the Sex Pistols, or even an example of a more modern punk band, Gloss. So yeah, but now we move on to Time to Get Closer, which is the second intermission on the album, and the last one. It's an old 60s love ballad intermission that just seems like an excerpt taken out of the album Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. And it's an intermission. Like, what do you want me to say? It doesn't go anywhere. It's that. But it leads on to a very good track, Loyal Like Sid and Nancy. This was a single release before the album, and it's one of the most electronic tracks on the album, with this very deep bass line and claps. But it's very underwhelming. I meant not overwhelming. Underwhelming. It's too empty. It should have more to it, and I'd expect it to have more bass and synths and all that stuff, but it doesn't. It's funky. It's a funky and catchy track, and it has a decent build up and some spoken word, but it's just underwhelming throughout, which I don't really like. But it goes on to the second to last track, which I don't really like on albums, and this isn't really an exception. Harden the Paint. It's another electronic track. It has very soft vocals. Pardon me. It's almost calming, and it has this. It does have a typical R&B bass and drum line. It's quite a generic track, and that's it really. But it goes on to the last track in this album, which is my third favourite track, 3. It's some pretty darn nice chill wave here, if I do say so myself. It's quite ambient, and it makes you want to vibe. You know, it doesn't really feel like a closing track. Maybe it could have been put somewhere on the album. I don't know what could have ended this. Maybe they could have made another song to end the album, like, I don't know, a little ambient intermission thing. But I don't know, this album's track listing seems a bit whack. But that's a part of an album. Like, a very important part of an album is the order of the tracks. If an album like, I don't know, Kid A had a completely different order, if it started with motion picture soundtrack or it started with, I don't know, Morning Bell or something, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But the order of this album is a bit not that good. A lot of these tracks are do the thing. Order is not too good. Some of the tracks are generic. The greatest track on the album is still only just good. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not bad or okay. It's pretty good. But all of this just, I can't give it more than a 9. A 9 is just far too ridiculous for an album by a band that will probably be forgotten in the next 20 years. I even feel like what I'm about to give it is a bit generous, but I'm going to give this album an 8 out of 10. I enjoy it. I enjoyed listening to it, but it's nothing spectacular. This is just another album that will go by without anyone noticing. In 2 months' time, no one will be talking about this album. This isn't something that's going to make a big impact anywhere. But yet again, from what it is, it's an enjoyable listen from a band that I'm surprised managed to put out another album. I thought Supermodel could be the last of them, but who knows. But that is the end of my video review of Sacred Hearts Club by Foster the People. Did you enjoy this album? If you did, leave it in the comments below. If you didn't, I'd love to hear your opinions. Also leave those in the comments below. Yeah, if you liked this video, give it a like. If you didn't like this video, well, don't like it. It's all yours, opinions, all that stuff. Anyways, it is Daniel here saying goodbye, and